Second point I'll be taking that is you need to have a plan. And a lot of times, people ask this question: okay, where do I start reading from? Do I start reading from Genesis, or do I just wake up in the morning and just take my Bible, just flip it open?
Don't start reading from Leviticus.
No. What did I don't know?
Like, take a lamb, kill it.
So it's important to have a plan. We're talking about studying here. It's good to plan. Don't make it random. Don't just say, today I feel like Old Testament, I feel like New Testament, I feel like a story, I feel like I'm just reading those boring names. Don't do that. Have a plan. We like to advise new believers to probably start from New Testament, because primarily the Bible is a tale about Jesus, like God's plan that was implemented in Jesus. And even the Old Testament will make sense in the light of the New Testament. A lot of things in the Old Testament they were figurative, so you won't understand them until the New Testament. So we advise to start from Matthew or Mark. Start from the New Testament, and don't pick random. Let's say, I'll just pick maybe John chapter 14 today, and we advise do it book by book, because there's a reason why they were put together that way. Because
some letters written to people.
Exactly, they have like a particular theme or a message the book is trying to communicate. So plan such that for this period, I want to see what the life of Jesus was. So you're reading the Gospels. Okay, I want to see what it was like when Jesus left. You're reading the Acts of the Apostles. Okay, what was the early church like? What was the foundation to the believers? You're reading the letters, and you're not just picking on chapter randomly. You pick Colossians today, then you go to 1 John tomorrow. Make it like the way if you're reading your school books, you don't just pick
one side of one chapter and go to chapter 5.
You pick it topic by topic. Okay, you're doing embryology or I don't know what that is.
Embryology.
No, there's nothing like that. All right. So number 2 is have a plan. If you read, don't let it be. I know there's so many Bible reading plans out there, and they actually do help. So you can get good ones, but make sure that it's not just random. Make sure it follows a particular plan. So, and also it's good to add here that if you might want to do a chronological study, studying according to timeline. These events happened like there was a time frame. There was Abraham existed
especially for the Old Testament.
Especially for the Old Testament. Abraham was before Moses. If you read about the Israelites in Egypt before Abraham, it might not make sense to you. Who are these people? So if you read according to how the events happened, it will make a lot of sense. But the whole idea is follow a plan and know that the Bible is one broad theme. Like we said in the first point we gave, it's the unveiling of God's salvation plan. So when you're reading with that mind, when you're studying with that mind, it will help. So have a plan. That's the second.
Just to add to studying the Old Testament, like you said, I would advise anybody start with the New Testament, especially because you're following Jesus, a new king, a new kingdom. His messages are important to you for your following him. But when you want to understand what happens before time, looking at chronological study, timeline study, also there are a couple of materials that help. There's cover to cover. They help you to arrange the Bible, because when you read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers down, then you have the first king, the Chronicles, you have the minor prophets and major prophets coming after. In the chronological timelining, those prophets actually fit into First Kings, Second Kings. So if you use a tool that helps you see the timelining of the Bible, you would be able to read Ezra and read Haggai inside Ezra, so you understand why Haggai was speaking. You can see the cultural context rather than going through everything. Then you're reading the prophets and you're like, what are these guys saying? Why are they so angry? You can actually feel and see what they're doing in the time that it was meant to be in.
Alright, and I think it's also good to add now that some people want to say, what, we're New Testament believers, we shouldn't read the Old Testament. No.
Where else?
The Bible spoke about Jesus even himself reading about
that
himself.
Was his scripture. That was Paul's Bible.
He taught the people about himself from the Old Testament. Seeing even when Peter was defending the faith, they made references to the Old Testament. So
Paul tells Timothy about the scripture,
Yeah.
and the scripture he's speaking about that is profitable for instruction, for exalting towards righteousness,
So,
is what we call it the Old Testament.
Yeah. So they're not old because we are supposed to do away with them, but it's just
Yeah. You get.
yeah. All right. Now the third point is, this is very important. Use easily comprehensible translations.